The disappearance of Daddy Yatta, or his abduction, sent shockwaves across the Nigerian social media, especially political Twitter, because he was very active on the social media space, especially Twitter, where he talked about issues of public interest. He was a fierce and known vocal critic of the Muhammadu Buhari administration, the governor of Kano State, Abdullahi Ganduje, and the governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai. Daddy Yatta was resident in Kaduna State and was a lecturer in Katsina State, a neighboring state. And he was abducted at his residence at about 1 a.m. in the early hours of 2nd of August, 2019. Till this moment, nobody has heard anything. The Nigerian police said that unidentified armed men accosted him at about 1 a.m. and seized him and took him inside his BMW car and zoomed off. So when that happened, a lot of Nigerians suspected that he must have been abducted or he was arrested by officers of the State Security Service or the Nigerian police. But the Nigerian police and the State Security Service have severally denied that they have Daddy Yatta in their custody. The question remains, where is Daddy Yatta? And that question simply leads us to a lot of other questions. One, for instance, how is it possible that a Nigerian citizen would be abducted and neither the police nor the State Security Service would be able to give us a clue as to what happened to him? He was abducted in his car. They took him inside his car, his BMW car. Where is the car? How come nobody has seen anything remotely related to the car as some evidence of his abduction? Is it a coincidence that Daddy Yatta was abducted or disappeared, commando style, 6 weeks after the same State Security Service that is now denying his abduction, 6 weeks after they issued a statement that they were clamping down on social media voices across the country? You can look up the story. Premium Times reported that story sometime in June, precisely on the 12th of June, a day after I fled from Nigeria to exile in the United States, because I was also going to be arrested and charged with treason for presenting the program that many of you know very well, Kakaki Social. Exactly a day after I left Nigeria, on the 12th of June, the State Security Service announced a nationwide clampdown on Nigerian social media voices. 6 weeks after, Daddy Yatta suddenly disappears. And questions and more questions. If Daddy Yatta was abducted by the conventional regular kidnappers that we know, why have they not asked for a ransom? Usually those sort of kidnappers would demand a ransom a few days after or moments after. Up till now, nobody has reached out asking for a ransom. And this is one development that is further pointing to the assumption that a lot of people have that Daddy Yatta might indeed be in the custody of state security agents. And there are more questions to also look at. If Daddy Yatta is not in the custody of the SSS, like I alluded to earlier, where is his car? Even if maybe he was abducted and God forbid something bad had happened to him, where is that car? That car shouldn't be easily discarded just like that. The Nigerian police and the State Security Service by now should be able to tell us that they have been able to track that car somewhere. So Daddy Yatta, a full-grown human being, can't just disappear like that. Amnesty International has said that Daddy Yatta is a victim of enforced disappearance. And there are several reasons to hold such an opinion or to arrive at such a conclusion. Because within the current administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, in 2016 precisely, in 2016, a Nigerian journalist, Jones Ebiri, was abducted from his office in Yenagoa, the capital of the oil-rich southern state of Bayelsa. When Jones Ebiri was abducted, it was the same story. The State Security Service, the security agents denied having anything to do with Jones Ebiri's abduction. But those who witnessed how he was abducted said the men who abducted him were armed with guns, and it's pretty much the same way, the same style that was observed in the abduction of Daddy Yatta. And what makes Jones Ebiri's case very disturbing is the fact that Jones Ebiri was abducted by Nigeria State Security Service and he was detained for 2 years. He was completely cut off access from his family, his wife, his doctors, no lawyers. Nobody even knew he was alive. At some point, a lot of people thought he was dead. Just the same way we are worried and concerned about Daddy Yatta right now. So what happened to Jones Ebiri gives a lot of concern that perhaps if this has happened before as early as 2016 under the regime of President Muhammadu Buhari, then it appears that Daddy Yatta may have suffered the same fate. Because Daddy Yatta was known to criticize the governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, the state where he was resident. If you go through Daddy Yatta's timeline on Twitter, though his account is now restricted by Twitter, we don't know why, you would find some of those tweets on his timeline calling out the governor of Kaduna State, criticizing the governor of Kano State, and also the federal government led by Muhammadu Buhari. And the leading Nigerian newspaper, Punch newspaper, did a story a couple of months ago about Nigeria State Security Service and revealed that a lot of people who were thought to have disappeared were actually in the custody of the State Security Service. You can look up that report on the internet. Hi, Emily from Philadelphia. Thanks for joining. Yes, Ariana, it's really scary what is happening in Nigeria. It's really scary. Thanks for joining the conversation. So yes, so it's really concerning because, like I said earlier, Punch newspaper, one of the leading dailies in Nigeria, did a report recently where they revealed that a lot of people who were thought to have disappeared were actually in the custody of Nigeria State Security Service. And some may have said that Kaduna State, where Daddy Yatta was abducted, has recently particularly been known for a lot of violence, killings, and bloodshed that we have seen, especially in the southern Kaduna region. And perhaps Daddy Yatta may have been a victim of that crisis. But Daddy Yatta doesn't fit the profile of who may have been a victim from such a crisis, from what we know. And one more thing to look at is, why is the State Security Service and the Nigerian police so concerned about exonerating themselves from taking responsibility? They are very quick to issue press statements to say that he is not in our custody, Daddy Yatta is not in our custody, but they have not told us what exactly they are doing to get Daddy Yatta released from wherever he's been detained, or to find out exactly what has happened to this young man who was just vanished from his family 1 year ago, precisely August 2nd, 2019. The Nigerian police are not telling us how much investigation they are conducting. The State Security Service are not telling us how much of their technology. These are the same agencies who are deploying technology to monitor journalists, to monitor mobile phones, to tap people's phones. They can't tell us what exactly has happened to a full-blown Nigerian citizen who just disappeared like that. They can't tell us anything. And we're expected to believe that they don't know anything about it, as they have continued to say. Or is the State Security Service more equipped to go after activists, journalists, and people who say things the government doesn't like, because precisely a day after Dadiata's abduction, Nigerian publisher and activist Omoyele Sowore, who founded Nigeria's first citizen news platform, Sahara Reporters, was arrested by the State Security Service and subsequently charged for treason, all because he criticized the government and he called for a nationwide protest. We all saw what happened to Omoyele Sowore. It took intense public outrage and international pressure, especially from the United States. 6 US senators had to write to the Nigerian government. Cory Booker was one of them, senator from New Jersey, and a couple of other senators had to write to the Nigerian Attorney General, asking the Nigerian government to obey court orders, because at the time Sowore was being detained by the State Security Service, there were at least 2 court orders ordering the Nigerian authorities to release him from detention. And they violated those court orders. So that is the situation and the context of what is happening in Nigeria today, where social voices, social critics, journalists, activists are very concerned about their safety and what might happen to them as they continue to demand accountability from the Nigerian government. There were a couple of tweets over the past few days. I'll just go through a few of them very quickly. We saw a tweet from Adeyemi 30760007. He tweeted that Dadiata's daughter has not seen her father for a year now. His wife hasn't felt her husband's touch for a year now. Dadiata's mother hasn't heard from her son for a year. He went missing for speaking against ills of the government, and no one is asking questions. Where is Dadiata? Nigerians over the past 48 hours demanding, asking the question, where is Dadiata? We've seen a lot of tweets. We saw from the former governor of Kano State, incidentally tweeting, Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, from his handle, Kwankwaso RM, said it is sad that 365 days, Dadiata is still missing without a trace. The Nigerian security agencies have a responsibility to unveil the whereabouts of this young intellectual. Though we miss him dearly, his daughter, wife, family, and friends miss him even more. 1 year without Dadiata. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, the former governor of Kano State in northwestern Nigeria, tweeting 2 days ago. Bulama Bukati tweeting also said, exactly 1 year today, Dadiata was abducted from his house in Kaduna. His wife related to BBC Hausa the trauma they go through every day. His 2 little kids keep asking, when will dad return from his journey? His elderly parents continue to cry and pray. They are devastated. And the new media aide to Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari, Bashir Ahmad, joined the conversation as well. And he tweeted saying, today I remember our friends Abubakar Idris Dadiata. I feel his family's pain every day. I hope and pray the government and security agencies' efforts will bear fruit. That was the new media aide to President Buhari tweeting yesterday, but one of his followers on Twitter tweeted in response to him and said, are you mocking his family and associates or what? Because it's obvious the APC government is responsible for his disappearance. Well, we can't ascertain who is responsible for Dadiata's disappearance right now, or even though there are strong reasons to believe that he might have been abducted by state security agents. There is no clear evidence suggesting that, so we don't know right now that the State Security Service actually have him, or the Nigerian police authorities have him, or whether any state security agency has Dadiata. We don't have any evidence to ascertain that. But we have seen a lot of things that point in that direction, especially because of his profile and the way he was abducted and the context in which he was abducted. When you look at how it has happened in the past to the likes of Jones Ibiri that I mentioned in the course of this conversation. And one more interesting thing that has happened is that one of the sons of the governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, his name is Bashir El-Rufai, he tweeted on the 23rd of December 2019, this is what he tweeted, I read, quote, the same clowns who encouraged him when he was creating false stories and capitalizing on lies that could endanger life solely for political ends are the same individuals trending hashtags asking, where is Dadiata? Dangerous lies in the public space have consequences, end quote. The son of the current governor of Kaduna State, Bashir El-Rufai tweeted that on the 23rd of December 2019, saying that dangerous lies have, in the public space, have consequences. And one would wonder why Nigerian security agencies, the police, or even the State Security Service have not invited this young man to question him and ask him exactly what he means by this sort of statement. Dangerous lies in the public space have consequences. Does this suggest that he knows what has happened to Daddy Yatta? Well, as I conclude this conversation today, it has to be clear to the Nigerian authorities or whoever has Daddy Yatta that we will continue to ask that question and demand answers about the abduction of this young man, Abubakar Idris, well known to us as Daddy Yatta, over a year ago. Whatever it takes, we'll continue to demand answers. And no matter how long it takes, whoever it is that was responsible for what has happened to this young man, the long arm of the law will eventually catch up with them. We don't care how long it takes. We'll continue to demand for the release of Daddy Yatta. And I end with the words of the former president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln, who said that those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves. And I hope that they are listening loud and clear and that they take note of this. Thank you very much for joining me today. My name is Ohima Amaize, Nigerian journalist on exile in the United States. I thank you for joining me once again. Goodbye.